Okay, so this is not a big get up and talk for an hour or two and then you all go home and say, that was great. Hopefully this is gonna be a lot more interactive. We're really gonna actually try and get everyone here on the same page when it comes to Android Studio and an Android project, which is virtually impossible. So lower your expectations now. So I thought it'd be useful for us to kind of, we'll introduce the group and kind of what the GDG Twin Cities does and who we are. And then I think it would make sense to just kind of hear from everyone that came tonight, talk about what your experience with Android or Android Wear has been. So Lloyd, I don't know if you want to jump up, talk about the group at all.
Yeah. So I'm Lloyd. Welcome everybody. One of the organizers for the Twin Cities. Let's do a little bit of housekeeping too. Next week, Wednesday, right?
Yep.
Next week, Wednesday, there's at least 2 Google I/O extended events happening. One at Augusto. We've had a number of meetups there that's posted on the meetup.com site. Another one is the Nerdery, which is a kind of new partner. Another one which we're half confirmed on, the Coco downtown in the Grain Exchange building is planning on having an I/O extended event. And the extended event is basically a kind of a viewing party and a gathering around the keynote and then other announcements that happen throughout the day. Google sent some prizes for people who attend the I/O extended event. So there'll be 5 Chromecasts at least Augusto and the Nerdery. I don't know what's happening at Coco. Communication's a little sparse there. So there'll be Chromecast, possibly other things. I don't know if you want to say anything briefly about that.
Yeah, other things.
Yeah, that's should be great. I've been to a couple when I haven't gone to the events in San Francisco, and they're great. It's a nice place to go and meet people locally. Next month's meetup will be at Coco again. That's also a meetup. We'll have kind of I/O debriefing. And then I'd like to have some time for kind of open mic. So if you have a project, an idea you'd like to share with the group, we'll try to keep those to like 10 or 15 minutes.
There's water over here and there's also pop over there. Or beer.
We'll get coffee in 10. Anything I'm missing housekeeping-wise?
No, I mean, I think we're looking to fill up the 2015 speaker schedule. So if you have a topic you want to speak about, let us know. We can start putting together that calendar. A lot of cool things. I think as of next week, we'll have even more topics that we need speakers about.
I've got a form and I'm prepping to send for a kind of call for speakers topics. So you could suggest topics or volunteer yourself. So look for that as well.
Great. Couple housekeeping notes about the space. So this is put on by MentorMate tonight. We're sponsored, so the pizza, etc. Wi-Fi. It's written on all the whiteboard or the glass there. If you're having trouble, find one of those. Bathrooms, restrooms are on the side wall there. So just go and you'll see a door, men, women. Drinks are over there. So there's pop, there's beer, there's water, things like that. Anything else? Let me know. Jump into kind of introduction. So my thought is that if we kind of hear about what each of us have done in terms of both Android and Android Wear, we'll be able to better align, skip the parts that are basic or dig into the things if this is basic to or new to everyone. So my name is Stephen Fluin. I'm head of strategy and innovation at MentorMate. I've built Android applications. We've, as a company, built tens to hundreds of Android applications that have been in the actual Play Store. Android Wear, we've built a few things with the emulator, not doing anything kind of commercially viable yet until some devices are on the market. Want to go next?
Sure. I'm Patrick Fuentes. I haven't built anything myself, but I just grabbed the SDK, get it up and running on my computer, got it syncing with my physical device, and checked out all the sample code and ran all the sample code.
I think I'm user software developer at Dell. Been really doing Android development for my job, but just interested, took a course on Coursera development, so interested in see what development.
Yep.
I'm Andrew. I work at Martin. I developed there and right afterward on my answer that day. I do a lot of Android stuff. Congrats on the recent release. Music video.
Colin.
So, my name's Colin Lee, and I am lead mobile dev at this place, Android. We make employee scheduling solutions, but my current Android Wear, I was at a hangout with the guys from Smart Factory in Livecon. I sat down and did the sample demo.
Chuck Williams, work at the University of Minnesota. Don't code Android apps, but I've certainly tried a number of times. Create boot camp first sort of thing. I mostly work with like other delayed guys, especially people who little apps, really kind of huge super apps for education users. All kinds of automation things.
I'm Phil Wilson, I'm the president of HyperIQ, and we're hiring. You know the drill. Pure loss step for Android Wear, so just see where it goes. Can't wait for the vote.
Sure.
I'm sure Krenz is probably the sole marketer here. So don't beat me up too much. I did reach my Nexus 5 stuff. That gives me a little dirt credibility this time. Anyway, so I've been watching the wearable trends a lot, and was really impressed with how quickly Android Wear pops out, given what they promised, and see that this has some opportunity going up and sizes and so on and so forth, but that remains. That's kind of so.
Turn out the right words.
Fair enough. I'm a marketer like developer, and I hate you guys, so. I'm Chris Davis. I'm an independent Android developer. And when I got the preview when it came out, I played around with it. It lasts a while, like it doesn't last, but so I'm interested in it, but after not having it in mind, I kind of lost interest after a couple weeks playing around with it. So excited to actually see hardware.
Yeah.
Actually, with hardware, it's only so far you can go with things around.
Exactly. Yeah. Cool.
I'm Jim Jerwin. I'm in the marketing camp, so I know it's developed, and Android Wear is new to me, so here we go.
I'm Brian Dipple. I graduated from Iowa State, and I currently do business intelligence at 3M, but I'm a lot more passionate about software development and learning Android for the last 6 months, actually, and haven't done anything around Wear yet, but really looking forward to getting into it, what's coming down the pipeline, getting involved with it.
Congratulations on graduation.
Thank you.
Okay.
Kenny Gord, revolver, long time, started my college, mobile devices, actually, started as an Android, when I was 1.9 application, was the one that first came out, so, React Crate. React Crate. I worked for this one. Okay. There. So the big one, actually, we have one, 2 years IE are much bigger than our smartphone now. That whole one, that's another
name is Bruce Green. I'm a private consultant. I've been working for the Android about 2 years. I've got some apps published on the Play Store, and I've got a huge related aware code, so I'm here to do some stuff today.
Matt, I'm back at the Bike State. I don't have anything published, but I in mobile health and fitness device. So I'm very aware, so
Hi, I'm Andy. I built a couple Android apps, but not what I do. My day job. Haven't worked with Wear at all.
Okay. Wolf?
Wolf Osher, primarily web app developer, dabbled in mobile development, and so I downloaded the GDG first day that the came out, and he reminds about why I love those sites.
In general, swell Joe.
I'm just available. My area of interest is in wide area sensitive networks. Sensitive networks that might cover thousands of square miles that would extract environmental data, such as federal data for generate floodplain work. I wrote a pitch about why I wanted to go to Google IO, and I now have a ticket. I also have an Ignite talk on Wednesday at Word yesterday, and so I need to go home and start moving. My pitch for why I wanted to go is that I wanted to talk to the food project people, the business people, and the lower orbit satellite people. My role is essentially to those things that they ought to get to the market. The fact that they're elected to be my role is important. But I am working on trying to get like the right model.
So that was one of the secret tickets, the other 3,000 tickets that they held back.
This is one of the handful of 15 tickets that they gave away to the tech press.
Okay.
And so I wrote up a word and submitted it a couple of times. And then once I was done with that, I knew that there was an Ignite deal. So I got the week old call for Ignite and sent it off to you. Pulled up, but almost last night I got an email saying,
You're in the Ignite session at I/O.
yes, I said I need your presentation by Monday. Next month.
But one trick is put the same slide twice.
Yeah, I just read it. I've been thinking too long.
One slide the whole time.
Anyway, so my real interest is in embedded systems, and I like the consensus, like for the secure part of it, I get more involved.
Cool.
My name is John Stanley. I'm a senior software engineer. I've been working in software for 30 years, and I'm getting started with Google and Android.
Cool.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth. I'm going to start working at very soon for an Android developer role. So I have two copies, one app, and I'm wrapping up another one. So I'm here to just learn what is Android Wear all about.
Okay, cool. So it sounds like most people here have done some Android, looking to get into Android Wear. We'll go through a brief Android Wear overview. This was a presentation put together by Google, so I'll try and skip the marketing sales pitchy side. I think we all know why Android Wear is exciting, and we'll get into some more of the details around it. And then we'll actually do a code lab where we'll try and get everyone running an Android Wear application. So just a kind of upfront note, if you want to participate in that and you have not applied for the preview, do so now. We won't necessarily need it, but you should definitely do that so that you can get direct access to all of the assets. So if you just Google Android Wear preview, it'll have a little registration form that you can fill out in 30 seconds here and get you access to some of the sample code, which we'll also give you access to here, as well as beta access to the app that you'll need to actually run on your phone. All right, so we'll jump into a little bit of Android Wear. So Google always points at pictures like this, and they say, oh, everything's falling apart. Everyone's staring at their phones. I believe it a little bit. I mean, I'm a Google Glass wearer, so I think there's a huge barrier that's being created by technology to interaction. But at the same time, I think wearables are just one part of that, one element of that. I think just building better software is the other part, right? So now that we've got this idea of let's understand the consumer, let's understand the user, and then apply that context to all the software we build. So one of the things that Google Glass and Android Wear does is it forces you to take into account that context. So they put together this really interesting graph about how people interact with their devices today, right? So you're in real life, and then you have to go get your phone out of your pocket, which takes about 14 seconds to actually launch something and do something. You timed it. And then you get lost in your phone, right? So you're going to be using apps. You're going to be interacting. Oh, there's a whole, especially on Android, there's 700 notifications now. Let me go spend time dealing with those and having the playtime where I get to swipe them away. What Google is trying to do is they're trying to shorten those gaps. And so with Android Wear, the idea is that you're going to be in real life. Something's going to happen that's of importance to you. You'll turn your wrist or whatever, if you've got some sort of pocket watch, I can imagine, or a monocle. You interact with that piece of information, that singular piece of information, and then you get back to real life. The idea is really minimizing these gaps in time because human beings are terrible at multitasking. Every time I do this, I'm lost for minutes. So the smaller and the faster we can allow humans to task switch, the more effective they're going to end up being. So it really is a fundamentally different user interaction model. So if you look at these devices, it's different than a phone, right? So you have to rethink the way that you interact and the way that you actually build applications. So there's these questions, right? So is it just another Android device, or are there things you can actually do that you couldn't do otherwise? But until you actually try an Android Wear device, or a Google wearable, I'll call it, I mean, does anybody know or think if Google Glass is going to be an Android Wear device? They've been kind of secretive about that. I mean, even at the GDG summit, we asked a very pointed question of, is Google Glass considered a wearable? And they said, you can wear it. So how many people here have seen the Moto 360 advertisements? How about the G Watch? I think it's going to be very interesting, this idea of a round device, right? This is the first circular computer display that I'm aware of that's going to be in mass consumer production. So this is the experience on your phone, right? So it's a multitasking device. I have hundreds of things that I can do. I can dig in. I can do maps, drive. And if they had just taken that same experience and put it on a phone or a watch, you would still have all those same problems of interaction. So what they ended up trying to do actually is they took that away and they made it almost exclusively voice and context reaction. So you can see here it's got a voice interaction for Google Now. You also got the kind of standard Google Now card. The idea being that if you build an application, it's going to be driven through a couple ways. It's going to be driven through notifications that are coming from your phone or from the cloud, or it's going to be an application where it's extending a very simple task, and we'll actually get into this idea of recipes. So if I'm making a recipe, it's kind of annoying to have to prop up my phone or to have to kind of pull out my phone every time I need to check the next ingredient or the next step. The idea is we can extend and make that action more natural by making a watch or a wearable device here. So the interface is actually two pieces. So it's the talking, and then you can actually do the actions at the bottom. And you can say, okay, Google, so it's got that voice coprocessor, or you can just tap on it. So once again, it's about context and then taking action. So that it's every screen that you're going to see is going to be broken up into those two parts. So when it comes to developing for Android Wear, the first way that they think people are going to be using it is notifications. So as I said, as an extension of an existing application. So if you build an Android app, I hope you're using any sort of notifications, Google's done a great job of elaborating what notifications can do. You have that extended action bar where you can actually interact directly with a notice and then get back to work. And so they've extended that metaphor here. So you're going to see those same sorts of interactive notifications that then you can just touch or do voice commands to respond to. And it's interesting to watch the kind of parallel development between Android and iOS, because iOS now has, iOS 8 has interactions and notifications that you can interact with, but they're more limited in scope. So we'll end up seeing kind of how Google and Apple will continue trying to leapfrog each other. One of the nice things about Android Wear is that all these things are going to work out of the box. So if you have an Android application with notifications, they will show up on your users' smartwatches, and all of the actions will work. Obviously, there's more you should be doing in order to make it interactive and easy to use, but out of the box, your calendar things will show up on your watch, your notifications, all those pieces. So Google's big on this idea of not needing to do anything. So here's a great example of an enhanced notification. So this is a Google Play Music, right? So it's got that, here's what's playing, here's the current status of the interaction, and then they've got a few actions, so you can pause, you can go to the next song, or you can thumbs it up. And once again, it's actually taking those actions from your Android app. So they've got this idea of stacks. So a stack is a set of cards. So once again, Google is going huge, huge, huge on this idea of card-based interfaces. So one of the things that you're going to see a lot is a stack. So there's, you'll see a preview of the first item, and then you'll click on it, and you'll be able to kind of expand that out and see all of the other types. So this is grouping of similar items. So like, let's say you have a set of recipes on your phone, that might end up being a stack. The second interaction model is pages. So let's say now I'm within a recipe, as we'll see. I can actually click, and once I've selected that recipe, I can swipe through next, next, next to actually navigate within a specific context. And then the last piece is replies. So all this is very voice focused because there's no keyboard. There's no keyboard at all. There's no input device other than a simple tap, a simple swipe. How is that going to work when you're at a concert? Terribly. No, I mean, just having experience building voice applications for Glass, yeah, the voice becomes inoperable in many cases. So, I mean, I'll be walking down the street and it'll be loud outside, and I can't use the voice interaction. But I mean, I think their hope is to augment it with swipe interactions, but yeah, you will still need to pull your phone out. I mean, I think that that's a fundamental idea, though. They're not trying to replace your phone. They're trying to find a subset of use cases that work best on that type of interface. So I remember back when the kind of Nexus 7 came out, and I was looking at, okay, what's the right form factor for me? Is it the laptop? Is it the desktop? Is it the 10-inch tablet, the 7-inch tablet, the phablet, the phone? And I thought, okay, well, which one is going to win out? And but I was wrong. I thought about things kind of fundamentally flawed. Personally, as I've added device after device to my own personal workflow and the way I interact with technology, none of them have displaced the others. I mean, I think 7 and 10-inch tablets are fighting a little bit, but each time I've done that, I find a new use case that is better served on a new device. So for example, I mean, how many people here have a 7-inch tablet? Wow. Every single person here has a 7-inch tablet. It's different, right? It's different than your phone. It's different than your laptop. How many people here have a 7-inch tablet and a 10-inch tablet? So how do you guys find them different? I mean, so for me, my 7-inch tablet is passive. I'm in a consumption mode on my 7-inch tablet. So if I'm sitting by my television, I want to see, hey, what did Arya Stark do in that last episode? I'm going to click on that and I'm going to find out. I'm going to pull up the Wikipedia page and look up, do referencing. Yeah. Okay.
When I want to use a tablet, I usually go to my desktop. When I want to take a device.
Sure.
I'm playing a game or something like that.
Sure.
So I tend to navigate.
So for you, it's that, okay. How big's your phone?
I found the 10-inch one really useful because I have a transformer and it does the mantle functionality, and you can essentially make it to a conference.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've seen that as well for me. Yeah.
Let me just step back and say, so the interface doesn't know how well, doesn't really necessarily your any kind of touch opportunity.
You can do touch opportunities, and we'll get to that a little bit. So this idea of apps beyond just like extended notifications, but it's really not well optimized for that. Sure. So you've got this idea of notifications. That's actually inherently an application running on the phone or the tablet or the paired device. But they do have the ability to actually build applications that run on the wearable. SDK is not available for that yet. And just like with Google Glass, I mean, we had to wait a long time for the Glass SDK. I imagine they're going to end up being similar. What they said is that it's all based on kind of card layouts. So expect to build card layout style activities and running activities directly on wearables with that whole stack pages and replies paradigm for interaction. They're also expecting to be able to send data and actions between the phone and the wearable. So it seems like they've taken this idea of a wearable that lives on its own, and they're kind of ignoring it for now. They're saying people already have phones. Let's extend that functionality. Let's leverage the capabilities of that phone to make a useful wearable. So we'll end up seeing where that goes. I think long term, they need to provide more native functionality. I mean, we saw that on Glass, but we'll see where that goes. So the idea to build apps is coming soon. They've committed to it, and I expect we'll learn more next week. One of the other things that apps are really designed for is gathering sensor data. So, I mean, Google Fit is the alleged health kit competitor that Google's coming out with. So, I mean, we're expecting to see all the same sort of sensor collection that you see on Glass or on an Android device. So now we're actually going to get into the code lab section. So if you have a laptop, we'll actually start pulling out the SDK and building some apps. Any questions or about the capabilities? I mean, it's a really simple device, right? It's got context and it's got action. And it's, for the start, it's notifications, and then it's whatever sort of card-based layout you want to build. If you look at the Glass SDK, it's almost the same. Do you have a question?
What do you mean? Have you seen specs?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think specs have been announced or leaked. I think it's altimeter. So I think there's some level of GPS, although I'm expecting it to be more based on Wi-Fi. I think there's a motion coprocessor in there, so they're expecting to be a Fitbit competitor. I don't know. Has anyone heard anything about the other sensors?
I mean, you're going to get like a pulse or temperature or anything like that, or
I don't think there's going to be anything exotic. I think they're starting. I mean, they're almost following the Apple philosophy of don't throw features at it. But we'll see. I mean, that's the way they operate.
Something like NFC or those implementations are a little resource.
I've heard that it has NFC. Has anyone here heard anything? I mean, it's all kind of speculation at this point. Yeah, no. So I mean, I expect it to have Bluetooth. I think it's leaving out Wi-Fi even. Does anyone? Okay, Lloyd, anything?
My Google
Jeff?
skills have found that it
Okay.
may support wireless technologies like Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and GPS. But,
Well, the good news is, at the end of the night, we're going to have a contest, and 2 people will be able to tell us next week. If we ignore Google I/O. So yeah, I mean, it's a great question about sensors, but I'm not expecting the Moto 360 or the LG Watch to have any sort of exotic capabilities.
So, but, I mean, if you look beyond the watch itself,
Sure.
whole space connected devices. So, granted, I mean, that's honestly where it's going. Most of those needed right now is audio port of smartphone, but
Yep.
where do you see it beyond the form factor that
So I would say, I mean, and this is once again speculative, Android Wear is going to be a 2-year journey to maturization. So it's going to start off as a fancy notification. I mean, a little bit like Pebble. I mean, some people here probably have Pebble devices. I've never felt the need for one because it's limited. I mean, do you like your Pebble? And why do you like it? So going back to that picture, you believe this is actually going to happen. Where is it? There, that one. Saved you tons of time. So do you feel that it needs more than notifications? Yeah. And I mean, and that's my point as well. Google is trying to get that use case perfect, right? Because people wear watches and people use cell phones. And they said, hey, something's got to be in there. And just like everyone else, they're taking a stab at it, but they're taking the platform approach. So saying, hey, we'll get started, and then you tell us what you need. Yep. Although, I mean, I'm still disappointed with the Galaxy Gear and the Galaxy Fit. I feel like it doesn't have a focus on the features I need.
You don't like the camera?
No, I mean, the lack of the motion coprocessor that integrates with Fitbit, it's frustrating. Because I don't want to use the Samsung Health apps. I don't want to get locked into that platform. And one of the whole kind of philosophical backers behind Android is you connect whatever two apps you want together. And so I think, I mean, that's the Android Wear promise is we're going to provide a playground for companies to connect. Yeah.
So the wearables have so much implication in the healthcare and monitoring your health.
Yep.
Are they in, the rumor on the street is a healthcare announcement coming. Is this going to be tied into it, or are they secretive about that? Or?
So anyway, they're secretive about it. I mean, so the rumor right now is Google Fit. You guys heard of Google Fit? It's this idea that Google's going to be your central repository. They're going to bridge all the networks, right? Just like everyone else, we too are going to bridge all the networks because you've got Fitbit, you've got YThings, you've got Pebble, I mean, you've got Samsung Fit, and no dominant player, no source of truth has emerged, right? So MyFitnessPal pulls into Fitbit, which also pulls in YThings, and then that goes out to Runkeeper. It's a web right now, which from a consumer standpoint is actually very powerful that they all have to develop standardized interfaces. And what Google's trying to say is, hey, we're going to develop the next standard that makes it easier for new entrants to come in. And so I think that's where medical will fit in. I mean, I'll espouse my personal philosophy here. Everyone wants this kind of convergence between consumerized healthcare and professional healthcare, but I think they serve different purposes. I don't want my doctor necessarily seeing my fitness results. And I mean, even if I could expose my Fitbit data to my doctor, he doesn't care or she doesn't care. They only care about things that have been blessed and approved by their system and the way they think about things. So I think whenever people talk about, oh, we're going to have one source for healthcare and it's going to support all these use cases, it's blending too much. It's too, everyone wants something different out of the network.
I mean, the general personal analytics I agree with because last thing doctors want to do is become analytics experts.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start looking at niches like chronic diseases and drug tracking and all of that, then that's the information that they'll want to receive. But when you're dealing with different stuff, you try to integrate it with their system.
Yeah. So I mean, so for example, we built an application called MyMed, which is a medication tracker for consumers. Which, I mean, we stayed on the consumer side.
I get that, but there also is players that are from like the Israeli company Proteus Software that actually places a kernel like a medical chip in the actual drug and tracks that when someone's using it. So it's Kurt, right? Yeah. And you've been at any bar. Yeah, it is. thinking about this last week with the announcement of Wear. So it's interconnected mobile device. What do you hope to see in a wearable?
You know, you can only have so many things going into it, but it would be nice to see or have the ability to. I mean, they're talking about the custom built iPhone or mobile phone where you can put the components on that you want and need.
Like Project Aria.
Yeah. We'll see where that goes. But
did anyone sign up to be one of the testers on Project Aria, where like they were going to ask you questions every once in a while, and they record like, what do you think? Is your other phone, is an Aria phone? Is there something that pop up? It asks you things like, if you had this feature, would it be useful to you right now?
I signed up. I didn't hear anything.
I signed up, I didn't hear anything either.
That's Google.
so the Moto 360i and all these are going to be basically going to be the Google Glass first iteration. I love the way that program is set up. You pay $1,500 to provide a lot of analytics to Google. Brilliant. So anyway.
And tell everyone about it. Everywhere.
Yeah. They get to use at the same time.
The most powerful ambassador program I've ever seen.
Yeah, fair enough. But this first iteration is going to be interesting. It's going to have a lot of content around the price points to the fraction. But what would really interest me is seeing what that next iteration is. It's the watch that detects the gas given off by the skin to constantly monitor glucose levels. It is the pulse that monitors blood flow or oxygenation for asthmatics. Whatever these might kick in, it's gonna be interesting, but I don't expect to see those for a year or two.
And I mean, what excites me most about Android Wear is that it's not the Moto 360. It's a platform that some medtech company can go build a bracelet that does that sort of collection and use the platform to get there faster.
I think at discount form factor that, I mean, the one thing that like Pebble and sort of being mainstream is it just looks like a neat piece of equipment.
Yeah.
And I think that the Moto 360 is that first piece that's come out that, it looks like a watch. So I don't think we want to discount the design, even the new Pebble piece. I mean, but having a high quality kind of design, yeah, it looks like not you guys probably don't remember the iteration, but it looks like a cat.
One of your slides, Kurt, and I recommend everybody to watch it. Put up all the slides from mini stars. It was great. I really enjoyed it. And it was, exciting this week. Thinking about one of the slides that just was kind of the aha for me of your mobile device now is like when you could network in your house and have a hub and have multiple computers running out to the network. So like, now I've got all this extra power and I have this device now being a hub which has a satellite of kind of sensors. And each sensor has its own specific interaction that can be created. Really kind of opens the next level of designing applications.
The old joke is that it's going to power the first 20 years of space travel. So, I mean, and now it's in a front pocket, and now it's power the automation as we move through the house, whether it's a smart glass thing that says jackass, you gotta leave to pick up the kids, or instead your watch, if you left your phone in the car or whatever, to know that it can allow you in or whatever that magic might be. The reason why I love seeing this was because I know it's going to be a more open system than what Apple might release, but the market is moving way too quickly to take tabs on it.
Yeah, I mean, phones are funny. I was just thinking the other day, like back to the film in the book 1984, where everyone had a screen in their home with a camera in it, and then people were just okay with it. Screen and camera. Oh, really? Well, now, if they're using cloud computing to process that video, that would be interesting. All right. So, any more discussion before we turn to actually installing Android Studio, getting Android Studio connected, etc.? Do we want to take like a 5-minute break, let people use the restroom, get more pizza? Yeah, let's take a 5-minute break here. Yep. So to get the Android Wear preview app, you have to join as a beta tester. I pulled it up today. So if you pull up this URL, here, I'll bit.ly it. All right, we'll give this a try here. So if you go to, well, that's not readable at all. Can I change it? Make sure I don't type my password into the username field. Yep. Well, let me give you guys a working link then here. All right, so the URL I'm going to use is bit.ly GDG TC, the Google Developer Group Twin Cities / or where, WEAR. And let me try that and see if it works. That worked for me. So bit.ly, oh. bit.ly / GDGTC where. And then let me know if that's working. So it's working? So you guys are able to hit become a tester? All right, and then that URL will also give you access to download the, what's that? Oh, here, sure. So the SDK, I think, is just part. It's in the SDK manager. So I'll go through all that in a second. I just want to make sure people are opting into the preview because this. Here, you gotta speak up a little bit. Yes.
Yeah, you have to download that separately.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Android Wear did. Or whatever. It was in that preview email. You clicked on that, downloaded, it had all the samples and stuff.
Yeah, the samples, but I think the SDK just works. We'll see in a sec.
I know that I looked at the zip.
Sure. Okay.
It has it in there, but.
So has everyone been able to? Anyone having trouble that can come around and help getting people into the preview?
Follow this.
Yep. Ah, the second link.
Yeah, the second link.
So I think that's a minute or so. That should be able to. Because what they're using is they're using the standard Google Play beta testing features, where you have to join the test group, and then it enables access to the Play Store. So refresh this page and then click on the download link. See if that works. See? Just turn it off and turn it on again, right? Well, we'll give it 30 seconds. Refresh the first page and then click on the link again. Refresh the page where it says you are.
There's no link.
bit.ly/GDG-TCware. I think you're missing the C in Twin Cities. TC. GDG-TWare. So add a C after the T.
Ah, that's it. Okay. Operator error.
Are you trying to get in, or did you get it working?
No, I gotta run.
What's that?
I have to run and do other stuff.
Okay. Master of all this already? Okay. Which piece?
I'm just gonna.
Okay. Okay. Sorry. Oh, you're ahead of the class here.
That's the one you knew there was
All right, so that's where we're gonna jump now. All right. So now that everyone's joined the Android Google Play app preview, let's start talking about the Android Studio piece. So now we've got the mobile app that you'll need for testing. We're gonna go ahead and do the Android Studio. So does everyone have Android Studio installed? Actually, let me do it the right way. Does anyone not have Android Studio installed? Jeff, do you need help installing Android Studio? Okay. The latest samples are using Gradle, so Eclipse will not work. Okay. So if everyone has Android Studio, it should look like this, right? And we're going to go make sure you have all the SDK components that you'll need for that. So we're going to go up to Tools, Android, SDK Manager. So SDK Manager is the tool as part of Android Studio, or actually as part of the Android toolkit that allows you to configure and control what pieces of Android you have installed. Android Studio is different than the Android Developer Tool. Android Studio is a JBeans, or IntelliJ, excuse me, IDE. All right. So Android Studio, the SDK will update itself, so if you just let it go. A couple of the important things you'll need to install is the Android Wear system image. So if you don't know what that is, I'll show you here. Under Android 442, you're going to find Android Wear system image. And the ARM EABI, I think you just need the Android Wear one. All right. Does anyone need help with that part? I would kill Android Studio and try again.
Okay.
What's that?
From SDK.
Try just closing Android Studio first, because that worked for me several times.
Maybe I'll run it, yeah. I can also run the whole darn thing in administrator too. That's a good plan.
Sounds a little dangerous.
So do we need a USB cable?
fully set up? I just forgot mine.
It's a lot easier if you use a USB cable.
Well, good to know.
Yeah, you have to like pair it with your phone, right?
Yeah. So, yep, so click that. Also make sure 19.1, Android Build Tools 19.1 are installed. So just another note, if you're still in the SDK manager, there's a lot of different versions of what they call Android SDK Build Tools at the top. And you'll want the latest version 19.1 installed. So I don't know why they don't just follow an update process like everybody else, but here you actually get to pick your version. Are you set? Did it work?
Yeah, it's working now. It's just marching through the download process.
Okay.
So we're good to go. I just gotta get the new SDK tool.
Colin, did you get Jeff all set up?
Down stuff. I'll have it. 7 minutes for Java.
Okay.
I'm not getting notifications.
Get that off.
What's that?
You won't,
So you absolutely can build Android Wear stuff with Eclipse, but the most recent examples, and the examples we'll talk through today, rely on Gradle, which is Android Studio. And Andrew will tell you you should just switch.
Yeah, you should just. You can probably do it in Eclipse, but then just build it from command line. I don't know why you want to make your life difficult.
Do you want to pontificate and soapbox for a minute about Android Studio?
It's pretty awesome. Go ahead.
Well, here uses Eclipse still. Some? 4? Do you want to give this 1 minute why Android Studio exists and should you switch yet?
I don't have any like
You-
good hard reasons.
Okay. Here. Patrick.
JetBrains and Solidity is probably one of the best IDEs in modern day. So there's a reason. People were using it before it was even practical. I can vouch for that. A lot of people know.
So do you want to talk about any specifics?
So I was tasked with the hard, our official ID for Android development theory. And I don't really like telling people what to do. So I didn't really want to do that at all. What I said is I subjectively like Android Studio, and a lot of really smart developers want that, or probably
Hold hang out on there.
subjectively like Eclipse.
I think.
And anyone can develop on any IDE they want. But Google has declared that Android Studio is the official IDE for Android development. So that means the smart people I know that want to use Eclipse can keep doing that and should keep doing that if it makes them happy. But I will not be able to help them because I'm going to work in Android Studio, so I won't know how to work in Eclipse. And probably most other Android developers won't either. So you're just, for example, in this situation, not going to find support for Eclipse.
Yeah. All new example code coming out of Google is built for Android Studio. It's using the Gradle toolchain and not the Eclipse, whatever they used to have. Yeah. I like AMP.
That thing was good. I wrote all kinds of violations.
It has an equal thing. You can sit there and just watch the document file, the process, and then it would grab the file and do whatever you told it to. So it goes process and box. It's very useful. It was nice work for my wife to interact with this message without having to understand this message, images, files, anything other than grab those pictures, drop them here, and magically come out the right size.
And now you've converted them all to Gradle, right? So you've got you let legacy code in your home?
Yeah.
like all pictures are pictures of you when you were younger. All right. So the next piece, assuming you've made it this far, we'll keep going here. Just a quick time check. We'll probably go for about 10, 15 more minutes, and then we'll kind of cut it off and we'll do the contest, and then kind of close out the night. So on your phone, you enabled a app called the Android Wear Preview. So what you'll need to do is you'll need to run that. You'll need to go into the Android Virtual Device Manager. So I'll once again show you how to do that in Android Studio. I apologize about the screen size here. So but I'm going to go up into Tools, Android AVD Manager, which stands for Android Virtual Device Manager. So this is where all of the emulators that Android has are managed and run from. And that's going to get me a window that looks like this. It's going to show if you've ever created an emulator before on your device, it's going to list it here. So I'm going to go and I'm going to create new, and give it a cool name like GDG TC Watch. I'm going to pick an Android Wear device. So you can pick round or square. I'm going to go round because I think it's cooler. Target API level. We're going to go with level 19. So the KitKat level of Android Wear, which I don't know why they even offered the earlier version. And then the CPU should automatically, and then you can just leave everything else, including hardware, keyboard, present, the same. And then you're going to need, actually, no, you're going to need to select a skin. So I always pick the round for the round and hit OK. I've had terrible luck with the Android Virtual Device Manager on Linux for the last 6 months. I don't know if anyone else has tried. Doesn't work. Well, no, it works, but then it crashes and tells you it didn't work. Okay. All right. So it's going to say, hey, that was successfully created. And then you can click on it and you can click launch. And what will come up is a little virtual machine that looks like this. Oops, sorry. So what this is an Android Wear virtual machine that has frozen. It's just slow. No, I didn't. What do you say? Okay. Go home here. I think that's home. There we go. All right, so once you've got the Virtual Device Manager, it's going to show a little disconnected phone icon in the upper right-hand corner. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go on your phone and launch the Android Wear Preview app. And if it's the first time, it'll say, hey, we need you to turn on notification sharing, and it'll take you to the settings. Question?
No, I'm just waiting.
Oh, you're, it won't connect to which part? Okay. So what I always do is I hit connect. So once you've actually got it sharing those notification permissions, hit connect. And then you're going to want to drop out to the ADB controls. And so the way you can tell that things are working is I always do ADB devices, which will list all the devices that your system can see. And you can see here, it's got a device. So whatever unique identifier your phone has, mine is HCDBB. And then it's going to say emulator dash whatever. And that's the watch. So you should see both of those. If you're missing the emulator, then your emulator hasn't booted properly. If you're missing the just random identifier, that's going to be your phone is not connected via ADB. So Android's a little weird. There are actually charging cables for micro USB that do not carry data. I've been burned by that several times. So just make sure you have a nice high quality cable from HTC or Samsung or wherever. Most cables work. What you'll do is you'll connect so that it shows up here. So I've got my phone connected. Unfortunately, for those of you without USB, there are tools that will allow you to do this, but it's hard. So if you search for ADB over Wi-Fi, there's some kind of hacks you can do that require root. But what the command you want to run is ADB forward. And this command is in the PowerPoint as well, but it's ADB-D, which says Android device build to, I don't know, what does ADB stand for? A debugger? Android debug bridge? Okay. -D, which refers to the physical device and not your emulator. And it's going to say TCP:5601. I mean, that could theoretically be any port. And then TCP:5601. And what that will do is it'll tell my phone to stop using the USB connection and start listening over the network connectivity it has, and then also connect to that device via that same port. So when I run that, so for those of you that are sitting there and it says it's not connected, I had to run this 2 or 3 times randomly, and then it would connect for me. And what will happen is your emulator will switch from a broken phone icon to a G. So let me disconnect and break the connection here. So that's what it started like. With a little broken phone icon on my emulator. And then I would type ADB-D forward TCP:50. What's that? Oh, I guess I assumed you had at some point connected it. It's in the instructions then. So if you have not ever used that phone for Android development, you will need to check on the build number 6 or 7 times. Here. I've got this. Here. This part I can help with. All right. So you're going to go into settings. You're going to go down to About Phone. And you're going to click on build number here. And you're going to tap 7 times. And then it'll say Android debugger unlocked. Whoops. Yeah, and then you'll go back a level. And then developer options will now be there in the settings. Then you click on developer options. And then you say Android debugging, and which will enable the Android debug bridge. I'm going to check and make sure that's actually worked here. That work for you?
Yeah, I'm also.
Oh, you were just helping.
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. Has anyone else had trouble with that or gotten that to work? Have you ever connected your phone over ADB?
I haven't connected to it. I connected it to my 7.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, the little KitKat, the Jelly Bean or whatever. Oh, that one. Whee! All right, so jumping back to the little screen here. So you can see my emulator is not connected. And I need to connect it by USB again. And it should show up in ADB devices. So I see both of those devices, and then I hit ADB-D forward TCP:5601. And then if it's not working, make sure that you're in the Android Wear Preview app. So I'm in the app now, and now it's connected. And what you're actually seeing here is all of my emails. So just like they said, Android Wear works out of the box with existing notifications. So if I wake up this device, you're actually going to see my email messages. Hopefully we can skip past those somehow. Facebook notifications. So these are all the notifications that exist at the top of my device. And then theoretically, if I swipe those away, they should disappear.
Pull up an email sample. I'm curious to see because, you know, I did a session on mobile email and I'm wondering how many characters across that stuff.
Sure. You want to shoot me an email real quick?
Oh, there you go.
So there's a hangout from Colin, which actually came through on Glass Android Wear, and my phone. Steven.fluin@gmail.com. So then I pull it up to center it, and I can only open it apparently. Yeah, I was looking to dismiss it or kill it. All right. Did you shoot me an email, Jeff?
Oh, yeah. I just 25 seconds to up the normal amount, 5 seconds.
You have a huge remorse period there, don't you? That 25 seconds must be excruciating. Do I send it? Do I not send it? So I just heard on my phone a message come through. I don't know why it wrapped here, but so I think I click on it to open it.
So you usually have about, realistically, 30 to 40 characters to play with.
40 characters, and then
Although I mean, so I think they're intelligent about things expanding further here than down there. So if you only write 10 character words, it'll wrap like that. All right, so let's pull it up here. See what inappropriate things Jeff has sent me. So we've got the same actions that you have on the bar. So you can archive, you can open, you can reply. I've actually tried reply. It would? Okay.
But like if you hit that, I think you can draft something specifically for, but if you don't have a voice file, you
Sure.
have to use cheat.
All right. So we're gonna archive that, and then we should just end up back at the. So as you saw, after I performed that action, Android Wear actually just went away. So just like Glass, whenever you do something, it goes to sleep. All right. So now let's actually launch an application. So I'm going to jump back to the presentation here if I can. So has anyone gotten their Android Wear emulator connected to their phone? 2? Okay, great. 3? Kurt's going like this, stressed out. Maybe he's done it. So here's those same commands. So we'll make this available. So there are several ways of getting this code library. So if you signed up for the Android SDK preview, they will email you a link to download a zip file, which has all these samples, or you can check them out from many different URLs. So if you just search for Android Wear Code Lab or Android Wear sample, you're going to find a GitHub account that has all these source code examples. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump out into Android Studio here, and actually we'll probably call it in about a minute here. But I should be able to pull out Android Studio. So here I hit in Android Studio, I hit File, Import Project. And then I went and I selected the project in the zip file that they give you, or in the Git repository you checked out. And then if you just hit Run, because your phone is connected by ADB, you can run it on your phone, not the emulator, but on your phone. And then as you are, so now I'm on my phone, it's actually running that Android app that we just downloaded and built. And I can click on something, so super simple guacamole. And it's got a preview of that, and I'm gonna hit start. And now that's created a set of notifications that use this whole stack and paging methodology. So here, now you can see that notification. And click on it to expand it, and it's paginated so that I can actually see all of the steps to create super simple guacamole. All right. So I know this was tough. Thank you guys for bearing with. All of this we're going to make available in the deck here. There's a few copies. So this one just combines the overview and the code lab. It breaks down each of the files and where they're actually doing the notifications and how they're controlling it. And also walks you through the idea of creating your own or adding a page to the content that you're sending to the device. So we'll actually kind of skip that here. And we'll go to our last section. So the idea is, so Google fortunately gave us 2 vouchers for an Android Wear device that they will ship after Google I/O. Woo! Thank you, Google.
Yeah.
3? Wow. 3 devices.
For sure, maybe one extra. So. we'll award a third, and you may or may not.
So the idea was to base it on the best idea as voted by the crowd. So we'll see how formal we need to make this. How many people here want to present an idea? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So if you guys we'll just go around in the same circle we did the introductions in. You just want to stand up, talk for 30 seconds about your cool idea of what you could do with Android Wear, and then we'll do voting after the fact for best idea. And the top 2 will get the top 2.5 will get Android Wear.
You want to go in the opposite order? Why is that? What's that? You're not ready. Okay. Okay, you want to jump up?
This is really exciting. I have a very popular Android app. And what it does identifies stuff comes available that you're looking for. If anyone knows about Craigslist, you always look for people that don't know how to price things, especially me, Diana, and then Tom got it. I learned about this when I got divorced and had to buy all my stuff. Anyway, what I was going to do is it does notifications now, but what I want to be able to do is show that notification, picture of the item, and then by tapping you can actually send over, it pulls out the contact information off the ad. So either email or a phone call. Get a hold of that person as soon as they know.
So what was your name?
Kenny, of course. So not extremely exciting, but.
Huh? Yeah. Is Kevin on here? Oh. Where did I get? Where did I miss? Go over there first.
Okay. There may be 1,000 of these coming
Yeah,
out
what's your name?
of John Stanley. But one of the apps that I use all the time on my tablet is a Bluetooth that has a Bluetooth playback, volume, pause, fast forward, rewind for podcasts. And what I would do would be create that to function as universally as I can for any playback on phone.
So podcast / audio playback control.
Yeah. Could be used for music too.
Cool.
One is basic guitar tuner and mention on that. So it has to set something separate on it. It's not your guitar, something you can have right there.
So would that use your phone, or would that use voice sensors on the?
Preferably voice sensors on the watch, assuming that it's got one, so that would make sense.
Could you do tuning for that?
You could do tuning through it, and you could have a metronome, so that would be one less thing you can carry around. The other option, if you require a phone, my son's on the autism spectrum, and so going to a new location, somebody visiting somebody else's house, I could, on my phone, draw a boundary around their the yard, and so if you got close to the yard, the Android Wear watch would ping and say, hey, you're approaching the line of death, turn around. And if it goes over it, send me a text message, okay, you got a runner, so we'll find it. I was going to do the same thing with Google Glass, but putting a $1,500 piece of equipment on autistic kids. Probably not the best idea.
So which one do you want under consideration?
Whichever one will give me the much.
You gotta choose.
I got two. Okay, show of hands. Who likes the
Cheater. Okay.
Keep track.
Okay. You're next.
So I became like a independent contractor like end of last year, and it's been great. And one thing I've been trying to kind of do is where I spend my time, so it's so much more important than I had thought. But so I've been kind of thinking about it. So now I've been looking at stuff phone and kind of like tracks and kind of where I am, what I'm doing. I try to do this a lot. I'm trying to get to the bottom like how many times I get to like I'm coding so much time and making sure I get up, exercise. And so what I want to do with the watch is to have like notifications of the watch and something, but I should kind of well, it's sitting too long. I haven't coded enough. Answer details. I kind of want to color code it so like kind of shows the color of how I'm doing my day. So it's like green or have a nice color, whatever. Like it's a nice color. It's kind of good. And then how I'm doing, it kind of changes color based on what I'm doing, and then it's a notification kind of what I should do.
What was your?
Yeah, I call it discipline, but kind of thing on the idea.
What was your name?
Chris.
Yes.
Pet sitter. Okay, so dogs, I have a dog, and I also have a dog that inside visible fence. And it's full circulation of the fence and sometimes crosses over. The ability to monitor that, because when there's voice communication, sleep with or whatever, and that's the line, that's a great opportunity. But also to do things like monitor water level in the dish, monitor reminders for feeding medicine. And as the dog gets older, a lot more things to do.
So reminders and monitoring for pet sitting.
Yeah, that's it.
Called Gear Doppler. Because of this great mountain range like that's the Dakotas, weather tends to blow through Minnesota like you wouldn't believe. And so, if anyone's been caught in some severe weather, whether it's snow or storms or tornadoes or whatever, it would pulse to your phone and give you instant access to the most recent Doppler information. So instead of just saying, oh, it's going to be raining shortly, here's the temperature, you can get real-time information to that. Okay.
So I got two. Wait, Jeff. See, although you guys didn't raise your hands the first time, I did. We'll allow.
Working at UM, we've got education is a big thing, so.
Really?
What?
You know, this is just about new buildings.
Maybe just a really simple education-related app to just everyone to just test you every time you decide to look at your phone. You can choose or not to use flashcards. Because then there's no excuse not to. It's going to be right there. You don't even have to like. Okay, I'm going to go to the backpack, open up the thing, find the packet, take off the rubber band that's on the packet.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Colin.
I really have two ideas, but I have to pick one.
Right, pick one.
Well, to start, obviously the corporate idea, we make apps where I work to notify employees about like when their shifts become available, that they can take a shift, and that they'll automatically tell them about things that they're available to take, right? So it's kind of cool to have just a notification so they can be the first to jump on a shift that they like. But skip over that one to the more interesting idea.
Oh, dude.
No, that was kind of cool, actually. Actually, I was thinking if they had NFC on these things, it would be really awesome to have an app that just as you walked up to a place that had NFC rolling codes to open the door, basically, it would just notify you to hit a button to request entrance to the place, and maybe send like a Google Hangout message or something to a guy, and just hit a button. Right away, you're in the place because it just got a rolling code on your phone, on your watch.
I work at Smart Things, like I said earlier, and I would integrate the hell out of it with that. But more specifically, what I want is with Smart Things, I have an alarm hooked up for if my door opens and my phone and my girlfriend's phone aren't there, it will turn on the alarm. And I would like it to be able to just hit it on the watch right there instead of having to run across the house and unplug it from the street, like making really, really loud noises.
So watch control the
yeah, I mean, control everything, but being able to turn off the alarm would be really nice. It doesn't solve the problem if your phone dies, but you still have to run across the house to turn off the alarm. But
all right, two more.
So
My idea is kind of like an interface for robots. So you take like the idea of glasses or a watch, and then even a simple robotics device like a Spiro, right? You just have like a tiny camera or a ton of sensors in the Spiro, and then you can communicate with it remotely. At first it'd be NFC, but you could evolve it out to Wi-Fi, and you can pull up like a view through your glasses and then control it through the watch. And wherever you're at, you can control kind of a remote device.
What was your name, Andrew?
Ryan.
Patrick, last one.
I had a bunch of ideas. I'm not going to say any of them except number one. The geeky one. It's kind of. So one of the first things I noticed when I put this up to my phone is every notification on my phone shows up on my wrist, and I don't want that because not everyone cares enough to do a really good job with notifications. Like Facebook, I was like, shut up. I was trying to show people on my computer, and I was like, I had to flip through all the crap that was showing up. So I AI in Android to kind of do what intercept those messages and then give those notifications. So for example, with Facebook, I would choose to turn that into a stacked notification, into a bunch of instead of a bunch of separate ones. But just give the user full control to customize the way they want. Maybe you want all the notifications to look pretty much the way they are, but I love the customizability of Android, and I think that would be a way to leverage it.
All right, we're going to do a random order now for votes. Okay, Chris, how many votes for the color-coded time discipline app? 1, 2.
How many votes does everybody get?
You can vote as many times as you want.
Okay.
9. Okay. Patrick, selective notifications gatekeeper.
Fisher.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Did you put your arm up? Okay.
We're not allowed to vote for our own.
Why not?
Right. Well, then I'll vote for my own. I don't know where my own.
Okay, can't vote for your own then.
Okay.
Kenny, Craigslist search.
Vote for your own. Wait a minute. It could be the only vote.
Craigslist search. 1, 2, 3, 4. Kurt, severe weather Doppler information. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Wolf, kid tracker. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Pet sitter, Phil.
Oh, snap.
Once.
I'll just give him one.
Oh, there you go.
Ryan, robots interface. So remote control your Sphero. Other robots. 1, 2, 3. Andrew, SmartThings watch control for alarm to disarm from the SmartThings guy. 5, 6, 7. 7, 8. Yeah. John Stanley, podcast audio playback controls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Jeff Williams, flashcards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Jeez. And Colin, the door access controls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Hey, wait. 8. All right. Now we resort by this column.
It says on top.
All right. So, wait. We got to do runoff voting. So Wolf, you get the first voucher. The second voucher. So we've got, you can either vote for Chris or Patrick. Everyone for Chris. So this was the color-coded time discipline.
Or which is the other one?
Or the selective notifications gatekeeper.
Oh.
What you know, dogs or the guys?
No, let's correct Phil's dog.
That's why I told my sons to put number
So first, Chris, color-coded time discipline app. 5, 6, 7. And then Patrick, selective notifications gatekeeper. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. All right, so our second winner here is Chris. And then our maybe winner is Patrick. Maybe. All right, I think that's it for tonight. The next event is obviously go watch Google I/O. If you care at all about that stuff, maybe. Or hang out at the Nerdery, or Augusto, or maybe Coco.
Right?
Thanks for coming, everybody. Feel free to eat some pizza on your way out.
Hey, thanks, Venture Mate, for sponsoring. This is great.
Where are you going? That's two different ones. Or give them two of them. Well, that's not time to figure out right now.
Right, so Chris is got Patrick's email. Chris, hi.
Remember, Chromecasts at Google I/O Extended. If you go, you might win a Chromecast.
Especially if you go to the one in Augusto. Maybe not so much the Coco.
Yeah, Coco, we don't know.
It's like some unofficial.
It's a Rebel Google I/O Extended.
Get away, Wolf's over there. It's exciting. Hey, Wolf, I think I have your email from the.
I like 11,000. It's like red as it's in.
I know. I was so angry. It was really long, like 1 more hour. I went to leave at half.
Maybe it's
No, I understand it's actually
Okay. I think he starts it.
Sorry, right here.
I don't know if you saw, I got several messages.
So it's really weird.
Thank you.
You say you're presenting other things?
GDG. So when you're flying in, yeah, I just needed to hear that. So last Tuesday, I just. Next Tuesday. I'm looking for a speaking. I told them. I'm really sorry. So it's not.
Why doesn't it just make you feel
And it's everyone's in and I'm more lazy than anything. I've joined. What it is, it's our solution for delegating. Helping them make certain percentages. But those certified
activity